Alright, when I'm doing hair, I always start with 3 tones, a dark, a medium, and a light. Right now I'm starting with the darkest color, and I'm going around and I'm just kind of putting it in the roots of her hair. I'm using the fine point of my pencil. This is a small picture. You can see like her head's as big as like just one part of my finger, maybe like an inch. Now I switch to the medium tone, and I'm bleeding the edges of that dark tone out with the medium tone, kind of going back over the dark and then letting it get a little wider with the medium tone. And then now I'm going to go in with the lightest color and fill out kind of close to the edge. I leave a little bit of a gap between the very edge and the marker because I'm going to use pencil with that, because I don't want to lose those little fine baby wispy hairs that are all around. And if you color too far out with the marker, you're going to get too much blocky edge. You want those wispy hairs to show. Those little baby hairs that are by the face, it just depends on how thick they are. If they're thick enough, which these were for my fine tip marker, then I'll go ahead with the fine tip and do them. But otherwise, I usually use a pencil on those if they were real tiny, so that I don't get any bleeding on the face. I switched back to my darkest marker, and I'm putting in kind of some dark hairs in the longer part, and now I'm going back and doing the same thing with the medium tone marker, just bleeding the edge of that dark out. And then I'm going to put in a few extra places with the medium marker that I didn't touch with the dark, just to add a little more depth to the hair, so it's not all one color. See there how I touched those baby hairs? It was pretty thick strands, so I felt like comfortable with the marker. Then now I've switched to the lightest marker, and I'm filling in all of the areas around with the lighter marker. Again, being careful not to get too close to the edge. Because this was a night picture with candle glow, I decided to use a yellow marker to try to highlight out the edge, because sometimes if you lay down a little alcohol and then come back with that lightest orange, the yellow will help that light orange not sit quite as hard as it did on the edge of the other part of the hair, and give it a little bit of a different tone, because I wanted it to be a little more glowy on the edge. So I'm doing some of the wispy strands, but not all of them, because I'm going to come back in a minute and use pencil. Now I'm going putting some of the lighter tone over in the hair that's on the opposite side. Now that hair that's on the left side is closer to the candle than what's on the right side. Right here I'm using kind of just a light lemony yellow pencil, and I started putting in some light, and then I decided it wasn't quite dark enough, so I switched to a little bit darker yellow. But in a minute I'm going to switch again, because it wasn't quite dark enough either. Sometimes I'm hesitant to just go for it big and just go for the darker color, and I have to work my way up to using it. So here's where I was like, okay, I think maybe not right. I kept testing colors and I wasn't getting what I wanted. There we go. So now I finally was smart enough to go for that really dark golden tone. And now I'm going to start doing all the wispy baby hairs that the candle light is glowing on the edges. And I decided to put a little more of the glow to match her hair in her face. I found some baby hairs there that needed to be done. And then I decided to get another, like an oranger tone color, to put a little more red back in some of those yellow hairs, because some of them are really, really yellow. And I didn't want to lose my red hair tone. Anyway, that's how you do candlelit glowy hair. Hope you enjoyed.